The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable, all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
Switch to Verizon Business and get more from your internet without paying more for your internet. Get LTE Business Internet starting at $39 a month when paired with select business mobile plans. That's unlimited data, and with it, unlimited possibilities. Start saving today with Verizon Business, ranked #1 in small business internet customer satisfaction by J.D. Power. Starting price for 25 megabits per second LTE internet plan with smartphone plan savings, plus taxes, fees, and economic adjustment charge. Terms apply. For J.D. Power 2024 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Vitamin Water Zero Sugar has great taste, zero BS, and obviously zero sugar. For those with zero room in their calendar, zero patience for slow walkers, those who get 0 hours of sleep on a Saturday night, have zero filter, zero given, and zero interest in grabbing a plain, boring water. Grab a delicious Vitamin Water Zero Sugar today.
If you haven't been paying attention for the last 4 years, we wear our love of bad movies on our sleeve. We revel in that which the critics deem inferior. So when the good people at the Asylum serve up the singer-songwriter smackdown of the century, well, what more can we say? I know we're not alone now, because this electrically youthful podcast is about to prove that Mega Python versus Gatoroid is not that bad. Welcome one and all to It's Not That Bad, the podcast that looks for A grades in B movies and a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Hello to all of our listeners in Waveland, Mississippi and around the world. How are you guys doing? All right. If you're one of the cool kids, then you also follow our music podcast, There Can Only Be One. And just this week, we finished the full discography of Debbie Gibson. And earlier in that show's run, we also did an episode featuring the entire Tiffany discography. So 1 + 1 must equal monster movie. This week, we are talking about Mega Python versus Gatoroid. And here to join me for this show, the pop star of my dreams, my lovely wife, Carrie. Carrie, how are you doing?
Aww.
You were so worried of how I was going to introduce you for this episode. You're like, what snake or crocodile kind of analogy is he going to come up with?
I was just hoping you were going to call me a foolish beat.
No.
No.
And no. Okay, so we are children of the 80s. This is our jam. This was our teenhood. Debbie Gibson and Tiffany. And now, together, for the first time, in a cinematic craptacular, Mega Python versus Gatoroid. I know I didn't have to sell you on doing this film, but how stoked were you to finally tackle this film?
Oh my God. My preteen heart I was like, oh, do I go Team Tiffany or Team Debbie? And little did I know that I'd actually feel like I had to choose.
Yeah.
Who am I going to root for?
So I'm going to ask right now then. I'm going to put you out right on Front Street here. I'm going to put you on the spot. In the 80s, were you Team Debbie or were you Team Tiffany?
I was both. I had the acid wash jean jacket. I had the red hair.
Mm-hmm.
So I had, naturally the Tiffany hair. Tiffany was so known for her long
sleeves,
sweater.
Yeah.
And I had this mustard yellow sweater that I wore under my jean jacket with my my bangs teased up, and I guess I'm saying, and I had the Electric Youth perfume.
Mm-hmm.
I literally was both. Like I had a Tiffany pin and I had a hat, like Debbie had in the Out of the Blue video, her little hat. I loved them both. I absolutely honored and still to this day admire both women equally.
Looks like Tiffany, smells like Debbie.
Quite literally.
Quite literally, yes.
Why can't we get that perfume anymore?
Okay. Dear Miss Debbie Gibson, please bring back the Electric Youth perfume so my wife can smell like her teenage years. It's all good. Okay. But now we have to determine whether we are Team Tiffany or Team Debbie cinematically. And this feels kind of like coming home because when I was coming up with the idea for this podcast and I sat down with a microphone and just recorded an episode, little did I know, 3.5 years later, actually getting close to 4 years, almost 4 years now, that I'd be revisiting this world because episode 1 of this podcast is just me, microphone, and Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus, which starred Debbie Gibson. Now, over 180 episodes later, here we are with Mega Python versus Gatoroid.
So what took you so long to catch up? And bring me along.
I'm slow. I'm slow and lazy, and I needed to ramp up to it. I needed to ramp up to what is arguably the biggest confrontation in movie history. And what better way to serve up this cinematic slice of serenity than to trailerize it?
In the history of cinema, never before have we borne witness to such a matchup of titanic proportions. Jason versus Freddy, Batman versus Superman, Godzilla versus Kong, Joe versus the volcano. They all pale in comparison to this. And no, we're not talking about the snake or the gator. Teen Titans Tiffany and Debbie Gibson are head-to-head in what can only be described as an 80s kid fever dream. They play stubborn, ill-advised hardliners on opposite sides of what goes best in a swamp. But when Dr. Nikki Riley does the most unscientific thing possible and put an animal where it shouldn't go, followed by Park Ranger Terry O'Hara endangering the park she's supposed to protect with her roided-out chicken buffet, bad things happen. Those bad things are the CGI department getting their marching orders. Now, these battling beauties must beat back the beasts they've bafflingly unleashed in a movie plot that can best be described as only in Florida. Tiffany and Debbie Gibson star in Mega Python vs. Gatoroid, rated TV-14, which is about how old I was when they hit the scene.
I have no words. I have been waiting for this trailerize all day, and you did not disappoint.
Thank you, dear world. It was Joe versus the volcano, wasn't it?
That was Teen Titans square off in the swamps of Florida.
Yeah, there was alliteration for days in there. But let's get into who is in this film. The movie stars Debbie Gibson, Tiffany A. Martinez, Catherine Houston, Kevin M. Horton, Carrie Van Dyke, and somehow Mickey Dolenz. The movie is directed by Mary Lambert. Now, when we talk about Asylum films, and we kind of talked about them a bit during Mocktober last year, we admitted that we don't really expect much from the Asylum, except for some good laughs and some good chuckles along the way. By the way, be prepared, because we're going to run up to Shark Week with a whole lot of Asylum films. You've been warned. But Mary Lambert is a namer. Probably best known for directing the 2 Pet Sematary movies. But This is one of the best music video directors of her time. Listen to this collection. And this is just a small freaking sampling. Directed the music video for Empire by Queensryche, as well as a version of Another Rainy Night Without You. Directed the videos for Don't Go Away Mad, Just Go Away, and Without You from Motley Crue. And directed the music videos for Borderline, Material Girl, and Like a Prayer for Madonna. The Like a Prayer video is one of the biggest videos of its day.
Iconic, yeah.
That is an absolute icon. Like the whole scene of Madonna dancing in front of the fire. That's a moment in music history, at least music video history. Of course, the film was released by the Asylum, has a budget of $500,000. Released on TV January 15th, 2011 on the Sci-Fi Network. There were accolades for this film. At the 2012 Telly Awards, it was awarded a bronze Telly for TV programs, segments, or promotional pieces. But the reason why we are here, A, we love these kind of films, but B, are the critics. This film has no official tomatometer at all. I think it's only been reviewed by like one person. But it has a popcorn meter of 18%. Over at IMDb, it sits at 3 stars out of 10 for a 30% score. At Letterboxd, it sits at 1.9 stars out of 5 for a 38% score. And at the movie database, sits at 41% for an aggregate of 31.75%. So that 31.75%. How are we sitting with this?
It's low. You know what? Now it'll at least be reviewed by at least 3 people.
Right?
You know, here we are. I'm going to put it out there now. I so enjoyed this movie. Like, I mean, even though you know that me and Godzilla movies, maybe not the biggest fans of each other. However, there was
Godzilla -1.
that one, minus one, that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Actually, I found myself like, at first I thought, oh yeah, a 2-hour nap. And I was glued to...
Even Tom Cruise came out and said Godzilla -1 redefined the genre of the monster film.
The actors were so great, though.
Oh, yeah.
That was like a nod to the incredible talent of the actors that they chose.
That just goes to show you what a Godzilla film can be. You know, instead of like, you know, Rock'em Sock'em Monsters, you know, with, you know, King Kong wearing the Nintendo Power Glove.
Okay, but can we talk about the giant, oversized, I don't know, crocodile in the room? Or?
Oh, oh, we're going to get to the CGI in a little bit. But I mean, here is the thing, right? The Asylum knows exactly what it is and the movies that it is putting out. It knows, it doesn't hide away from this. This is glorious B movie, right? This isn't like some kind of low budget film that tried so hard and just sucked. No, this film, and this is before we even get into like the breakdown of the actors and all this. This film knows exactly what it is and revels in it. Like, if there is a picture a pig finding the best, warmest, most glorious muddy mud hole, and that pig's going to like roll around it and have the best time.
You make it sound like Peppa the Pig.
Yeah. The Asylum is the Peppa Pig.
Muddy puddles.
Exactly. It knows exactly. But the thing is, it doesn't try to, it glorifies camp.
It's almost like it was done in 2 different styles, though. There was when they were, you know, in the swamplands of Florida. And then when they were like
somehow in the town, yeah.
Helicopter scenes where they've got this like giant, like, is it a crocodile? Is it an alligator? What?
Well, there was a mega python and then there was a giant crocodile Gatoroid.
It's a Gatoroid.
Yeah.
Okay. But they've got like the Gatoroid like walking through almost like reaching for the helicopter. Like it's almost like it's switched to like campy, like.
Oh, it didn't switch. It was pure camp from minute one.
But the style of it changed. That moment.
It got campier and more fun and giddy as the movie went.
Well, that is true, but I have to, give props to the giant python that like grabbed the guy's shirt only to like later kill him. They were funny though. They made the animals have almost like a personality, a humor.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
You know that feeling when someone shows up for you just when you need it most? That's what Uber is all about. Not just a ride or dinner at your door. It's how Uber helps you show up for the moments that matter. Because showing up can turn a tough day around or make a good one even better. Whatever it is, big or small, Uber is on the way. So you can be on yours. Uber, on our way.
All right, well, let's get into the breakdown of this film. We start with Miss Debbie Gibson, who played Dr. Nikki Riley. Not her first Asylum rodeo. Your thoughts on her?
Oh, you know what? I so enjoyed seeing this movie. You know what? I thought you could tell she was having so much fun in this role.
She couldn't hide it.
No.
That's the problem. There were points where Dr. Riley should have been a little bit more serious, but I don't think Debbie Gibson could contain the amount of fun she was probably having on this film because it feels like it was a fun production. Again, I mentioned that you have Mary Lambert at the helm as director. And Mary Lambert is a very, very good director. I don't know how they got her for this film, but I think there's something to be said about talent working with respected talent. Debbie Gibson and Tiffany are respected singers and songwriters. Mary Lambert is a respected movie and music video director. So clearly, as a music video director, they probably come from the same world and may have crossed circles before. Now, I did look and I didn't see if Mary Lambert had directed any videos for Tiffany or Debbie Gibson, but I'm sure they have probably crossed paths a few times. So there's just an air of fun on this set, right? And also, there's no way that either of these two singers signed up for this film thinking it was going to be some serious meeting of the minds. No, they signed up for a fun, good time.
Oh, they knew the assignment, and you could tell that these two ladies are probably pretty good friends.
Yeah.
And that and that made a certain scene a little later in the film that we'll talk about later so funny. Like the fact that they, on paper, on script, hated each other. Vehemently hated each other.
In the script, the characters did, yes.
In the script. And I even even at its most pivotal moment when, by all rights, Tiffany, had every right to rip Debbie's hair out of her head, they still, kind of, it wasn't believable that there was like actual hate there.
Yeah.
Even though they're calling each other mean names, I didn't buy it.
Oh, there should be a bitch counter in this film, because the number of times someone calls someone else a bitch, take a shot. Turn this movie into a drinking game. Have fun with it. But the thing, okay, let's get to the character first, okay? Because it's clear that both Debbie Gibson and Tiffany know exactly what this movie is, signed up because it is exactly that movie, and the Asylum knew exactly what they were doing as well by putting these two in a film. The marketing alone, all you have to do is say, Debbie Gibson, Tiffany, together. What?
Yeah. You know what, though? I really, really liked the scene at the party where Debbie shows up and she's in Tiffany's tent, her VIP tent. And that, I think, just watch that scene because Debbie shines. She understood the assignment 1000%. And that's, I think, where she was probably the best in this movie. Oh, that and the very last scene where she's in the swamp and she's like, I'm alive. I'm still alive. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, spoilers like a mofo, that's about to happen now. Okay. So just be forewarned that if you have not watched Megapython versus Gatoroid yet, what the hell took you so long? All right. But spoilers are coming. This is, for the Asylum, their Rogue One, where you introduce a bunch of characters with the knowledge that you are going to kill most of them off. This isn't either one gets to live and save the day or they find resolution. No. They Rogue One everyone in this damn thing. They do, in the most gloriously campy way possible. You know, in what can only be described as the monster movie version of Heat, where it was like the first time Al Pacino and Robert De Niro are in a movie together. This is that kind of level of film in camp. Now, when it comes to the character of Dr. Riley, yes, I agree. Once the camp ball starts rolling and it just keeps rolling downhill and picking up more steam and gets funner and funner as the film goes on, early on, I'm like, oh no, what are they doing with this character? Because this is supposed to be like a serious, determined, snake-loving, snake-saving kind of doctor that's defying, the regulations and bringing these snakes to an environment that they should thrive in. How the hell did the snakes get that big to begin with? I have no idea. Is there something in the water? Maybe test the water. I don't know. It might be the water. But when she's watching these hunters like firing at something in the water, she seems way too eager to see what they're like. She seems like way too excited to say, are we going to shoot something? Are we going to shoot something? Oh, wait, that's something. No, maybe I should save that. Like, what? Stop having fun at this point.
I love the scene where Tiffany's fiance tries to save her life by backing over a python several times.
Oh my God.
And she turns on him like,
multiple times.
You psycho. How could you kill an animal? It's
You're welcome.
Well, it was about to kill you, so.
But like, how many times did he run over that damn snake? It's like backed over it once, okay, then went back over it, and then went back over it, and then went. Like, how many more times are you going to run over this damn snake? I think he did it like at least 6 times, and I'm just like, give it another go. Why not?
Well, it was huge. He had
huge.
He had to park on the jugular, I guess. Yeah.
Oh my God. Like, the more every time he would like shift gear to go back over the snake, I'm like, do it again.
20 minutes later.
They should have gone full SpongeBob. 20 minutes later. The snake was that damn big.
It was.
Tiffany as Park Ranger Terry O'Hara. Where Debbie Gibson really found it hard at times to hide how much fun she was having, Tiffany came to play from an acting point of view, I think.
You think so?
I do.
Okay, I love Tiffany. Love, mad respect for that woman. But acting-wise, I didn't feel that she had the chops. Okay, I'm sorry, but your fiance just dies.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, you have your one little emotional scene. But then the next scene later, you're like all dolled up and ready to party.
Okay, no. Time had expired, so bear with me here. So the fiance gets killed, and she's completely, she doesn't know what's going on and all that. She find out it's a snake, and they're like, okay, so there's these big snakes that are killing people, including my fiance. What's the best way to kill a giant snake? Well, let's get more gators, right? So that's when she, like crazy, like starts to put steroids into the chickens, and she's feeding the chickens to the gators, and the gators get big. So this is one of those time expires things. So when they get to the gala, right, to celebrate the wetlands and whatnot, she actually says it's a year later. So there's been a year of snake growth, egg laying, and crocodile growing, and people dying. It's been a year.
I know, but...
And she even mentions her late fiance in the speech that she gives at this gala.
I know. I wasn't buying it. I think her emotional scene a little bit later when she lost one of her colleagues was a little bit more intense than when she lost her own fiance. I'm just saying. I love Tiffany.
He was checking Debbie Gibson out too. So
I love Tiffany. Mad respect. Love the music, but keep to the singing and songwriting.
Okay, but when we get to like the Debbie versus Tiffany smackdown, tell me she wasn't having fun with this.
Oh, they both were.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? They came to play. Like, but as far as a leading character, I mean, she held her own. I don't know, like it would do you really see her as a park ranger though? Or like, do you really see her being able to actually kill an animal?
Okay.
She never did.
Let's take a look at the park rangers working for, under her at this point.
Oh, Gomer Pyle.
Right. Gomer Pyle and one of the Golden Girls is basically working in this park ranger outfit. So she might actually be the most qualified person of those three.
And I'm not sure that the, button down, like tank top revealing, I don't think that's really how to wear the, ranger. She would get a sunburn. She would get attacked by a bird.
But keep in mind, all they're really there to do is to make sure that people don't make messes in the park and to hand out hunting licenses dependent on the population of the crocodiles, apparently.
Oh, I so love that. Stay out of my my Everglades.
Right. But she came to play, and whether you think she did a good job or not, she came to take on this role seriously. Debbie, now this might be also in line with Debbie Gibson being a much more seasoned stage actress, right? But this isn't Tiffany's first film. So it's one of those things where we're talking about characters that aren't necessarily fleshed out, right? This is an Asylum film. The entire marketing of this film, the entire raison d'etre of this film is to put Tiffany and Debbie Gibson on screen together. That is the only reason why this film exists. And it's the only reason why people still talk about it to today, like us, because it's Debbie Gibson and Tiffany. I enjoyed her in it, but I could see why you would sit there and say, maybe the acting might be a little weaker than the beginning, but I thought she gave it a good try. And I say that knowing that I can't act for crap.
Oh, I'm not saying I could do a better job. No, she was, you know what? She was lovely. I think, though, there were times that I was left scratching my head. Like when she had the animal, he was kind of the guy who came in who was an expert.
Oh, Dr. Diego Ortiz, yes.
Yes. But yet she wasn't taking the severity of the situation to heart. Like she wasn't taking it seriously enough.
Because she was the cause of the situation. Well, she was half the cause of the situation, right? So part of this is the fact that she's actively blocking Dr. Diego from inspecting further, because if it's ever revealed why the crocodile is so, how did they get steroided out? How did these crocodiles get so big? Right? Like, she actively caused half the situation that they were, dealing with in this film.
But the snakes, the pythons were already overly.
That's why I say
huge.
Tiffany was half of the problem, because the other half was Debbie Gibson.
I don't know exactly that it was the steroids, because I was under the impression it was to make them slow and unresponsive.
No. So the snakes are huge, right? And they were finding parts of the thing. The fact that they lost some of the hunters because they were going out to try to find the snakes and lost her fiance along the way to these giant snakes. Gators kill snakes in the swamp. So if the snakes are huge, we're going to need a bigger gator.
Bigger gators,
right?
I get it.
Jaws rules at this point.
Yeah.
So she made a bigger gator.
Yet I thought, though, that the guy who didn't want to eventually give her the steroids, but, then Grandma told him to.
Yeah.
I thought that when he was explaining it, though, that the steroids were meant to make them kind of sleepy.
No, there were some, and then there was another one. There was the top shelf, right? That third box.
Oh, and I missed something.
He's like, this is the experimental one. We'll take that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because all great decisions are made in Asylum films. Since we talked a little bit about him, Carrie Van Dyke, who played the fiancé, Justin. Now, this is actually the grandson of Dick Van Dyke.
Ah.
And we've talked about Carrie Van Dyke slightly in a past episode, because he is the writer of Don't Worry, Darling.
Interesting. Okay.
So your thoughts on the late, great Justin the Fiancé, as played by Carrie Van Dyke?
Yeah. I liked him. I thought, what you said, that he was hitting on Debbie Gibson. No, he was literally just helping a woman who was at the
camera showed her butt and then showed his reaction. The implication is there.
He saved her from a python. Stop.
I wish this was a video podcast, because the look on my face would tell you everything you need to know about the 13-year-old thought that just went through my head. But go on.
Did I not say I was like, get in your car, sir, and keep driving. You are Tiffany's man.
You did. You spoke to the television while we were watching.
I did. And then he saved her life.
Right? Multiple times by driving over the same snake over and over. 20 minutes later, over and over and over again. But the thing is, sometimes you have to have a character, and their sole mission in the movie is to die, because that death becomes the motivation for another character to do dumb things. So Justin had to die, regardless of saving the doctor from the big ass snake with all the wheels of his Jeep.
It would have been a much shorter movie if the snake had taken the Dr. Debbie Gibson out.
Yeah.
Earlier.
It was just like, I could stop for this girl and save her, or I could just go back to my fiance. I'm going back to my fiance. The end.
All I can think with at the beginning of the scene where Debbie Gibson was saving or releasing the pythons into the water, all I can think is, I saw this in a movie once before, in Jay and Silent Bob.
Yes!
She is the Clit Commander.
Oh.
Justice. She is Justice.
She is Justice, yes. Oh, dear
Yes.
God. Oh, I can't believe we just drew a Kevin Smith Mega Python versus Gatoroid comparable, but here we are today.
I want to see Kevin Smith direct one of these.
You know what's funny? Kevin Smith would probably have the most fun time directing an Asylum film, but I don't know if A, the Asylum could afford him, or B, if Kevin Smith would want to go down that road. But that is a match made in heaven that I would love to see at some point. I don't know why, but it would be fun. But yes, the fiance had to die so the Gatoroids could get all Roy chickened out.
Did you ever think you would be saying that? Those words.
I have worried in the making of these podcasts because seemingly every episode we do, almost every episode, a sentence escapes my lips that my brain has to take a double take on. Did you just say that? And then I realized that there are computers out there that are training their AI based on multiple podcasts. We're going to make the dumbest AI ever. It's somehow going to like put steroids in chickens and feed it to gators and somehow make a song out of it. So somewhere along the way, I'm afraid I'm going to start steroids, chicken.
So let's talk about Tiffany's colleague.
Okay, so let's talk about the two of them. So first, Catherine Houston, who played Angie. And I apologize if I messed up her name. I'm an idiot in a basement with a microphone. You get what you get. But your thoughts on Angie?
Angie was the older lady?
Yes, she was.
Loved her. Oh my God. You know what? She was exactly the strength that Tiffany's character, Terry, needed when her fiance passed away.
Mm-hmm.
What did he didn't pass away. He was kind
eaten.
of eaten.
Okay, but she also led Tiffany to the steroid dealer.
Well, okay.
Angie didn't make smart choices either.
But it's because she cared and she did. And I think she wanted to see all of this come to an end because she knew that Terry was hurting and she knew that Terry took her job extremely seriously.
Okay. I want to heap praise on this woman here for a second. When you take a look at the Golden Girls, okay, and I'm not making an age reference here, but just bear with me. When you take a look at the Golden Girls, clearly 2 of the 4 had the best lines in the whole series. It was Betty White and it was Estelle Getty. In this film, Catherine Houston does the work of both. This is the kind of character that gets literally all those little throwaway, sarcastic as hell lines. And it comes from the most unsuspecting character, which makes it even funnier. I swear to God, every line out of this woman's mouth as the movie is going on is funnier and funnier and snarkier and more sarcastic as the film goes on.
Yeah. What happens if they try to get in? Just shoot him.
Right?
Like, okay.
Like the fact that she's like hanging out of the car and shooting things in the streets of like whatever Florida town they're in. Like, oh my God, I freaking loved her in this film.
She was the embodiment of Grandma Mazur from the Janet Ivanovich, you have to understand, the number series books. There's a character, a grandma who, gun-toting grandma who, due to her cataract, she can't drive her, 1970 like Cadillac that the car has been shot at and crashed and yet it's still running.
She's Blind Al from Deadpool.
Yeah.
She's Blind Al is exactly what she is. Yeah. Right? She is snark and sarcasm and sass in one human character. And the thing is, right? I don't know how much of her stuff was scripted or if any of it was improv. Because it feels like some of it was improv and they're just like, that is hilarious. Go with it. Right? And if it's improv, my dear God, that woman was gold.
She's a gem.
Absolutely. But then you got Kevin M. Horton, who played R.J. Capelli. This is the other park ranger. This is your Gomer Pyle. Your thoughts on him?
He was great. Considering that he saw firsthand, like he went to, where was it, that bunker or that
Yeah, those like freight cars or something like that. That was in the middle of some kind of,
something like that. But he was the one that first saw the size of the eggs and the python kill the man.
Yeah, but then they're just sitting there on a shooting spree, shooting up eggs like it's like some kind of carnival fair, shooting game.
Yeah, but I mean, at that point, he saw the severity of the situation, and yet still, I think, kind of still went along with, and that's the problem that I have with it, that even though they clearly have an issue, they kind of let it go or dusted it under the carpet for a year so that they could have their big banquet. And
he was distracted by a rock in a wide open space. This was Gomer Pyle. I mean, and don't get me wrong, like a character like Gomer Pyle is funny in that kind of context, right?
Yes.
Remember, we are talking about a film, Megapython versus Gatoroid. If you're going with this looking for thespian level acting and incredibly deep characters, and you are going to be sadly mistaken, it's a comedy.
It is, but I want to see someone take it seriously, the severity of the situation.
And that's where I think Tiffany kind of stands out a little bit at the beginning of the film, because she is trying to take things seriously. Now the second half of the film, that series is kind of held up by A. Martinez, who played Dr. Diego Ortiz. This is the sole surviving member of the entire movie. Your thoughts on Dr. Diego Ortiz?
I liked him. I liked him. It was it was kind of a surprise, though. You mentioned that he was the sole surviving character, and I'm surprised by that.
I mean, every horror film has a final girl, right? And sometimes they throw you for a loop, right? Remember when we talked about Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, right? And they got down to like the last girl, and then there was also Christopher Robin, and they killed the final girl. At least who I thought the final girl was going to be, leaving it up to Christopher Robin. And I'm like, you killed the final girl. You went down that road, and I think it actually worked in that. They killed the wrong final girl in what was it, the Mousetrap one that we covered the following year. But here, I find it fascinating that they killed both Debbie Gibson and Tiffany in this.
But wasn't it lovely how they had the
tribute at the end? Yes.
Yeah. Carved to tribute them.
I mean, basically, Dr. Ortiz comes in and he's there to kind of inspect what's going on in the wetlands and whatnot. And it's okay. But then he just becomes like the obvious Uber driver, right? Debbie and Tiffany are coming up with the entire plan, and he's there to get them there from point A to point B in whatever vehicle he can drive, because apparently he can drive every vehicle. Like, this is, I get it. He's the tour guy through the CGI hellpocalypse. I understand. But he's okay. He's what I expected in an Asylum film. And then somehow you have Mickey Dolenz from the Monkees in this. Like, his presence seems there to be just to get one joke over. It's like, oh yeah, we have this expert at parties and all that, and they're bringing in a real monkey. And it happens to be Mickey Dolenz.
I like the scene where he was, if he made a donation, he got to name or keep the
have a crocodile named after him.
Yeah, but not this crocodile, because this one already has a name.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, I mean, like, I get the joke, and I like the fact that he's there. It's kind of a fun little, but the thing is, it's 2011. You kind of have to like sell the joke a little bit more, I think, because how many people remember the Monkees, really?
Honestly, I had no clue who he was.
I rest my case.
I spent the movie trying to figure out. I'm like, so who is this guy? I knew that he was somebody. I just didn't.
He was a monkey.
Yeah.
He was a monkey. Obviously, the biggest selling point of this film is Debbie and Tiffany in the same film.
No, let's be honest. The selling point was the Debbie versus Tiffany, Tiffany versus Debbie food fight.
Yes.
And
which literally
cat fight.
I've written down here the cat fight, right? Did this moment in film meet the expectation?
This was the best part of the movie. I mean, the overly animated animal brutality of some of the kills was funny. It was watchable, but the fight at the banquet was everything. Just everything.
Oh yeah, no, it's when you watch the trailer and you're like, oh dear God, this is going to happen. And you watch the movie and it's like, oh, and it's happening even more. And it's kind of over the top. And they're having fun during this.
So much fun. Oh my God. When Debbie put something in Tiffany's hair and then Tiffany face planted Debbie into a cream pie. It was everything that
and then food is getting, splattered all over body parts and whatnot. It's almost like they said, just go with it. Just go have fun.
You know what gets me though, is how Tiffany's hair looked absolutely perfect in the next few scenes when they were in the helicopter right after the fight.
You were expecting continuity out of an Asylum film.
She had a moment to clean the cake out of her dress and looked perfect again. It was so unfair.
Okay. But the thing is, and I want to give the Asylum credit for this, okay? Because no one will ever sit there and say, let me give the Asylum credit for something here. The Asylum, I think, understands exactly what they are. You take a look at the Sharknado films, right? They get progressively campier and campier and campier as they go to the point that they somehow created a cultural zeitgeist moment with Sharknado. Because people like to have fun. People like a good laugh and to sit there and watch. Look at how many celebrity cameos are in the Sharknado films. People want in on the fun. And I think this is a moment that they sit there and they recognize exactly what they have on their hands here. A moment where you can take two cultural icons and put them together and don't even pretend like you're a serious film. Live in camp world. Embrace camp world. Because quite frankly, I had more fun watching this film than some comedies that try too hard to be funny. I know you love your Adam Sandler films. But
I do.
But some of them I just don't find funny. Because the jokes are meh. This is gloriously bad in all the fun ways. The CGI is horrible in this film. It is so horrible, but horrible in a way that you can't not smile at the increasing levels of horribleness that it becomes. Some snake lying on the train tracks as the train goes into the snake. A snake taking out a helicopter or a plane. With every monster movie that they do, films like Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus and the eventual Mega Shark versus Mega Shark, which, Debbie Gibson's in that one too. They have so many of them between disaster movies, monster movies, and whatever else you can shake a stick at. The Asylum it creates a world where you can just ignore nuance, subtleness, character depth, emotionality. Grab a bowl of popcorn, sit the heck down, take your brain on vacation for an hour and a half, and just revel in the goofiness of it all. Some of my favorite Godzilla films are those dude in a rubber suit films. Because they are so campy and they are so much fun and they know exactly what they are. I love a film that knows what it is. I love a film that wears its camp on its sleeve and says, here we are, enjoy the ride. We're all going to have a good laugh together. And at the end of the day, if that's your mission accomplished, bravo. All right, Carrie. It's time. It is time. The smackdown has come to an end. Who is your MVP of Mega Python versus Gatoroid?
Because I can't decide, and I should never, ever be put in a position to pick between Team Tiffany and Team Debbie, I have to go with Catherine Houston.
As Angie.
I thought she was adorable. I absolutely loved every scene that she was in. She was so funny. And you know, again, it's this is really because I cannot pick between my two pop princesses. I cannot pick between the two ladies.
You can't pick between your two moms in this one? No. I thought about picking Tiffany because I actually thought she did a decent job in this. But I side with you. I am going with Catherine Houston. This was actually her final film role before passing away.
Oh.
So this is the lasting memory that she leaves us. A movie where she steals every scene, brings a smile, and has the best lines in an entire film. Bravo, dear woman.
I'm not going to lie. I actually shed a tear when she untimely got eaten.
Hanging out of a car, shooting snakes all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know that she went out having fun.
Guns a-blazing.
Yeah.
Guns a-blazing in one of the campier deaths that happened in this entire film.
It was tragic, though. It was hard to watch.
Where's her plaque?
It was like, oh my God.
Put her on the plaque with Debbie
Right?
Gibson and Tiffany.
Right?
We're Team Angie. All right. Carrie, thank you so much for this. And to you, our dear listeners, well, you guys know the drill. If there's a movie out there that you think is unfairly maligned or is so bad that there's no way in the Florida wetlands that we can find anything good to say about it, hit us up on social media at NotThatBadcast or go to our website at NotThatBadcast.com. And while you're there, make sure you bookmark the page because in a short little while, the Sharknado Fest begins. Until next time, she's Carrie, I'm Jay. You guys are awesome. This is It's Not That Bad, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Take care.